Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I am going to try and give you 10 interesting points about the Kenyan blogger who was recently murdered in police custody, Albert Ojwang. And I'm going to do my best to present facts that I could find at the time of making this video. Keep in mind, from this video being edited, scheduled, posted, more facts, more things will come to light. So feel free obviously to add it in the comment section below, add your contribution, add any updates, so we can keep this very important story up and keep it relevant until we see the end of it, or at least the satisfying end of it. The reason I'm making this video is so that the facts don't get lost in the ever so fast life, and maybe sadly another death doesn't come and sweep this one to the side and our focus is suddenly shifted. That happens so much because the world is moving so quickly. But one of the things I'm always saying, the reason I love social media, the reason why I love small channels like myself, we can make these things freeze in time, available for whenever somebody is curious, somebody wants to know, somebody wants to understand, or at least let there be records that can be receipts for going back to, or for us to refer to in the future. So that said, I have 10 points, as I said, and I'm going to go through them to give you food for thought, to give you highlights, to give you interesting insights, and also, as I said, for there to be its timestamp in this event. So the blogger we're talking about is Albert Omondi Ojwang. He was a 31-year-old teacher at a boys' high school in Kenya, in a town called, or in a city called Voi. Apologies if I'm butchering any names here. I'm not Kenyan, but yeah, welcome any corrections. Obviously referring to him in past tense because he has since passed away, and he passed away at the hands or in police custody. He was a husband and he was a proud father of a young son, and he himself is the only child, or was the only child, of his parents. He was very active on social media under a pseudonym handle, which I'll put on the screen. So he was on Twitter and he was regularly on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. His content focused on exposing corruption, criticizing police misconduct, calling out government officials. He once accused a deputy inspector of corruption, and amongst many accusations, he was highlighting a luxury home this inspector had in Dubai, which was worth over $2 million US dollars. After his death, approximately 5.6 million Kenyan shillings were raised through donations, and mostly done via mobile money, via mobile transfer, and the president himself contributed what is said to be around 2 million shillings. The president essentially donated around $15,000. In total, we are talking about $43,000 US dollars that was donated. And as of the making of this video, the total is said to be missing, allegedly. It's said that there is an open investigation as to how the money has gone missing, where it has gone. So far, it's being said someone gained access to the account, again, this mobile money, mobile transfer account, and was able to withdraw the complete amount and divert it to another account. So we're saying that $40,000 has vanished and is currently being investigated. Now, to pause here, to pause on the points I'm making about the facts I'm finding about this gentleman. I remember when I was in Zimbabwe and I accidentally sent money to the wrong EcoCash account. It's another mobile money, mobile transfer option predominant in Zimbabwe. So EcoCash, I misplaced one digit and it went to an actual number, a woman, a wrong number. And I was able to call EcoCash, explain my story, and they say to me, stay on hold whilst we call this number and ask the recipient if this is true. right? So they were able to do that, and within an hour or so, the money was reversed back into my account. Now, that's a very simple and a very small amount of money we're talking about here, and luckily for me, the lady was able to acknowledge, yes, this money doesn't belong to me. I just saw it. I didn't know where it's come from. I don't know this lady. I'm saying this to say I really hope that it's as simple as connecting where the money was diverted to using the, because mobile money, everything is there. It's mobile numbers, right? In any case, bank transactions, everything is there. So I really hope that we are able to make this a simple investigation and not prolong it. Okay, let's move on to what we can title accountability. Okay, so the police in question, there's a constable by the name James Mukwana. Again, apologies if I butchered that name. So James Mukwana has been formally charged for Albert's murder, and the sentiment seems to really be that yes, this man, however, the entire police unit, the entire system is responsible for this man's death, and that is the essence, if you want to say, of the protests that are happening right now. So essentially protesting, the issue is systematic rather than just charging an individual and his colleagues. And honestly, that makes so much sense. When it comes to CCTV, the footage itself from the police station is reported to have been tampered with, which is raising more concerns about the presented or accused. It's not just this gentleman, Constable James Mukwana. There are colleagues that are in the trial as well, but his name seems to be put at the forefront as of the making of this video. So what I'm talking about in this video right now essentially really erupted on June 11th, 2025. And it was on that morning that the president of Kenya, William Ruto, publicly announced or publicly commented in Nairobi that Albert Ojwang died at the hands of police, which is essentially him acknowledging assault rather than suicide. And he described the incident as heartbreaking and as unacceptable. And he did this during a Senate hearing. His comments created a massive shift, especially when it comes to the narration that came originally from the police, because obviously it's very, very different. And you have your president now calling you and presenting you as a liar, and you are his police force. So again, injecting my thoughts here. I said it in my previous video about just the way Kenyans protest, you know. The energy is very different. The approach is very different. Even the president's approach to his people, how he serves, is slightly different. How he acknowledges wrongdoing is slightly different when you compare it from other African countries. Yes, perhaps we're presenting bad apple and comparing it to a bad pear, but on a normal, for him to even acknowledge wrongdoings as an entire president, you don't see that often. And for Kenyans to still protest and that not be enough is pushing and forcing a standard that is good in my eyes. That is where we should really be going, and which is why I'm personally very interested in Kenyan politics, because they have a way, they have an approach that is very different. I remember there was a story that came out, again, slightly digressing here, but trying to buttress my point, which is Kenyans are different. There was a story that came out where Kenyans came out to protest because they were experiencing loss of light. And when you look at the numbers and the rate at which they are losing power, they're losing electricity, it's so much less compared to what other countries. I know for sure Zimbabwe, we experience shortages of electricity like crazy. You know, so many other countries, South Africa, which is supposed to be a first world, I mean, I don't know about now, but it's supposed to be a first world country in a third world continent. They have load shedding. They have a schedule for when you can expect to have and to not have electricity. When you look at what they were protesting against, and when you look at what other African countries are accepting or tolerating or having to deal with or having to manage, it forces you to rethink what you are accepting. The next thing were protests, which is point number 7 in my list. So Albert's death ignited an immediate and widespread protest, and several press conferences were held with the mom, with the dad, and honestly, the whole thing is just heartbreaking. And naturally, Kenyans came together and protested the road. And when Kenyans come outside, they come outside, okay? Protesters blocked the road. They marched towards Parliament. They are still loudly demanding justice for Albert and for his family, and the police to be held accountable for the brutality. And at this point, of course, yes, it's kind of like a George Floyd situation. It's more than just Albert. It's more than just this family. It could be you next, right? And that is what makes this very important. And honestly, that is why I am putting this video in my collection of videos as a stop in time for the event itself, and for us to essentially, lest we forget. When you speak to the public, when you pay attention to the public sentiment, you will hear and feel the empathy and also the frustration. But essentially what is being said here is, some are even going as far as saying, even if Albert committed a crime, it doesn't warrant this outcome, this brutality, any level. I was about to say this level of brutality, but the fact is, any level of brutality, any level of extrajudicial, of he didn't deserve to be killed. No one deserves to be killed for their opinion. And this is what is making his a national conversation. And I honestly think it should be a continent conversation. So the autopsy revealed severe head trauma, neck compressions, and internal bleedings, and excessive soft tissue damages or injuries, which indicates that this was a violent assault. There was no accident here. Well, allegedly, which is again completely contradictory to the statement from the police itself, which was that Albert harmed himself, aka committed suicide. As of the making of this video, Albert has become a powerful national symbol. His death is now really representing many Kenyans who suffered at the hands of police. It's also representing frustration. It's also representing a moment in time that again is forcing and pushing for better in all ways possible. And for many, Albert's name now stands for the demand that no more lives should be lost in this way, in any way at all. I'm going to pause here. I really hope I've done this story some kind of justice, but if there's anything I have missed, please do add it in the comments. As I said at the beginning, add your comments below if I've missed anything. Add your comments below if there is a development, so we keep pushing this story to the top and so that it doesn't die or doesn't get swept to the side, because the world is so fast-paced. Until my next video, please stay safe out there. See you in my next one.